Hi guys, welcome back to Theater. I thought my name is Abby, and today I wanted to start a new series on my channel. And I'm probably gonna call this like paranormal stories or something, just because I've been watching a lot. It's like a super guilty pleasure. I've been watching a lot of ghost shows and stuff, but like the one I've been binge watching for a hot minute has been Paranormal Survivor, and that one is just like, I just love the way the stories are told and then like reenacted, so it's just really interesting. But it kind of got me thinking that I have like a whole bunch of stories of my own to share, especially as a medium. So I'm going to be sharing stories here with the series, from different stuff that I've experienced and witnessed, and from like ghosts to like demons and stuff. So we're gonna talk about it. The first story that we're gonna talk about actually happened very recently. This is when I went to Grenada, and the villa that we were staying in is called El Noel Villa. And sorry if my voice is a little raspy, that's why I'm drinking a lot of tea. Because I literally just woke up, did my ancestor libation and prayers, and then I was just like, let me just do the videos. So basically at the villa, so I feel like in a way I should give you a little bit of background, but I'm gonna get there. So at the villa, the first time I went to Grenada and stayed at the villa was in March. And it was for a retreat, and in October I went for a retreat as well. And if you wanted to get some, I guess, I don't know, behind the scenes kind of into the story, kind of, and see kind of how the house looks like a little bit, you can go into my channel and go all the way down and go to the vlog I did for the spiritual retreat, because I did vlog my experience the first time, not the second time. The second time had like the most activity, but we're gonna talk about it. So the first time we went, it was a lot of people in that place. The retreat was actually overbooked, so we had more people than there were rooms, but some people were together, like, so they came together and stuff, so which was fine. And so that's kind of why it was set up that way. But we had a lot of people. I think it was total like probably like 12 of us or something like that, like 10 to 12 plus the staff and everything like that. So it was a lot of people in that house. And personally speaking, what I first witnessed in the beginning of the year in March, it was only like, I knew there were spirits around, but they were a little bit less like, they were a little bit more shying away, except for the mother of the place. So basically the villa is owned by, it's like a family owned villa, and it's been passed down through generations. So Grenada is a very interesting place because it used to be a British colony, but before that they're you know, people of color. And so when the British came, they basically, you know, turned them into Christians, and they're really religious in that sense now. So the mother in that house that passed away, she's more on the lower floor, where like there's a separate bathroom like towards the back. There's another room, outside bathroom and everything, towards the back, not like outside the villa, but like inside. It's not like in a room, so it's kind of like one of those, like, you could just go in if you're in the kitchen and you need to go to the bathroom, that would be the closest bathroom. However, that room, the bedroom that's there and that bathroom that's there are hers. Those are her, that's where she used to basically live. And so there's other family members around the house, spirit wise, but she's one of the most present spirits in the house, and she's very aware, and we're gonna get to it. But basically, so the first time that I was there, I was all the way to the top of the villa. I was actually staying at the sun deck suite, and it was a beautiful area. But at the top of the at that room, I didn't really have any experiences or anything like that in that room. It was very much it was very much chill, because usually who ended up staying there were like people who like work there, or visitors or stuff like that. But there weren't anything that came up there. It was, I always felt everything on the lower levels, and it was like the first, on the first floor, that's where most of the presents were. So when you start going down the stairs, because I was all the way at the third floor, so when we start going down the stairs, I could definitely, on towards this side, I know there's a male presence, and he's very like, likes to, he likes to kind of peek out, and he's very kind of curious, but he comes out occasionally. He's not very I want to say, like, he doesn't like to make his presence known too much. Like, the mother, like, wants you to know that she's there. So I'm just like, okay, I see you. Like, I turn around, I'm like, okay, I see you. And then I walk the other side. There's like this little hallway to get to like the kind of living room space. And then there's our balcony with the tables and stuff, and the kitchen is on the side. So the first time I was around, the only area that I really was feeling it was that first floor. That first floor is very active. But because I feel like all of us were there, and we're all like really powerful brujas, like they were very much like kind of pulled back, except for the mother. In that first bathroom on the first floor, the one I was talking about earlier, every time you would go in there, she would just be staring at you. She's a very curious woman, so she would be staring at you, and it's kind of very uncomfortable, you know, being in the bathroom and knowing that, you know, a spirit is staring at you pee. But I mean, it happens all the time when I go to hospitals. I cannot go into a hospital and not have a spirit be staring at me pee. But it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, it does not make it any more comfortable for me to see, you know. So I never liked going into that bathroom. Even though I was on the third floor, I'd rather go all the way up to the third floor and pee rather than be in the bathroom with her, because it was just kind of like, why are you looking at me? So that was like the experience that I was having anytime I would go into that bathroom, because it was kind of like all of the activities and stuff that we were doing. So Tatiana Morales, or Tatiana Tarot, as some of you may know her, she was facilitating the retreat. So she was teaching a tarot workshop and stuff. So anytime while we were there, and maybe one of us, we were taking like a 10-minute break or something, and somebody needed to pee, we would go into that's the closest bathroom. So it was like every time somebody went in there, it would kind of be like an experience. And then some of the girls were having, because at first, the first time around, it was one of the girls and her mom that were staying in the mother's room, and they were having these kind of experiences in that room, and they would kind of tell us like, yeah, you know, there was like some noises, or like the door wasn't opening, and it was almost like she was trying to lock them in there, and that happened actually again in October. We're going to talk about it. And so it was just like, the mom had the most, I would say, balls to kind of present herself and her energy and her space, and just be like, I'm here. This is my space. This is my room. But for the most part, she was really curious. Like, I would watch her standing and just kind of watching us while we were doing everything that we were doing. And she was just really curious, but she was scared at the same time. And I got that confirmed when I went back in October. So that was kind of like the first experience for when I went there the first time around. The second time around, the activity definitely picked up. There was less people in the house altogether. There was like 6 of us. Wait, probably like seven to 8 of us. It wasn't like as many people, so not as many of our own energy like in there, especially because we did a lot of ritual work. The first time around, we did a lot of ritual work, so it was just like, boom, like we were all very powerful, and we were present, energetically speaking. So for the most part, the first time around, it wasn't like, I knew they were there, but it wasn't as like, you know, as the second time. So the second time I went, and I knew this was going to happen because I went during Scorpio season, so obviously spirit was going to be alive and well. So when the second time I went, I can already feel the presence of the male that's on this side of the room versus the mother who's on the other side. And they're a little bit, again, he's more curious, but he doesn't kind of want you to completely know that he's there. He's just likes to know like what's going on. He kind of likes to peek through, and he's just like, he's very present, but you know, in a kind of I could dump out of here any second kind of way. So I could definitely feel the energy, but it was kind of, I was staying in the second floor at the time. And personally, I mean, I did have an experience in my room, but I did sage my room a couple of times, but the experience I had was when I got high, and we're going to talk about it. So, okay, so the first thing that happened was, again, the mother was very present in the room, but this time, in the first floor where her room is, Tati was actually staying in that room this time around. And obviously, Tati's a very powerful as bruja. And so, she also like locked her in the room one time, and there was a lot of experiences in the bathroom. She even said it, like she knows that she's there, and everybody was kind of like talking about, like, we were all, most of the girls that were there have very intense Scorpio placements, so we all were like, the dead is not, you know, it's very common to us. And so they all had an experience going into that bathroom, because it was the same, that we were doing a different workshop, but as we were doing a workshop, we were doing actually an Akashic Records tarot workshop. And so because we had the records open, like, we were all experiencing stuff when we would go into the bathroom, and she would be in there just staring at us pee. And I only went in there like once, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this again. I'm just gonna go to my room and go pee up there. But one of the things I said I wanted to do, which they say not to do, is to open, I told Tati, I was like, I want to open the Akashic Records while I'm high. And she was like, yeah, I mean, I see no problem with that, even though it's against the rules. But if you're like cool with it, like if you're ready for that type of experience, the Lords of the Records will allow you to do so. I didn't really mind it. So there was one night after we did one of the workshops, the chef that was at the house, he made edibles, and so I knew he was gonna make edibles, so I was like, yes. And he made edibles, and I'm like, okay, cool, we ready. And so, but I had already closed the records from the previous session because I was helping, I was doing an integration meditation with the girls for the records. And so I did that, and then afterwards I went and had me an edible, and I go to the kitchen, and the light is off in the kitchen, but the rest of the living room area is on. So you can still pretty much see, but it's a little bit dark. So I opened the what's it called? The door of the refrigerator. I take out an edible and I start chewing it. And I'm turning around, and I'm on my phone, because I remember I was either texting someone or posting something on Instagram. I don't remember what it was, or tweeting. I don't remember what it was, but I was doing something on my phone, and then I see, first of all, I feel it first, but I see this white shadow just come from behind me, like from behind me, and I'm just like, I do like one of these, whoa, and it goes out through the window. And that was a different one, because that one I hadn't felt before, but that one was a very kind of like, and then I started to realize, because one of the other things that we did when we were on retreat, we went to the cemetery, but I started to realize how many more spirits were present, not just in the house, but around in the land, that weren't necessarily coming inside, but for some reason, obviously my sensitivity went up. And do I recommend getting high in a haunted house? It depends if you can handle it. If you're going to be sleeping in that house, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, depending on your tolerance of getting scared. But so I knew that the villa was haunted, but I still end up having the edible. So I was starting to feel the kick, and then I started to get voices, and it was a lot of voices present, and it was just like different messages, and I started to see a lot of the family members that passed from the villa. And as I walked into my room, I felt their presence very, very heavily in my room. Actually, they were all lined up at the end of my bed. Like, not all of them, but a good amount of them were lined up at the end of my bed. And it's kind of like they were trying to it's like they were all trying to vent at me about something. That's what it really felt like, because they were all like, you know, like this, and like all trying to just communicate something at the same time. So it was just like a lot of voices, and it was very overwhelming in a way. And I'm just like, guys, I really just want to go to sleep. it was just like, seriously, I get that you guys have a lot of things to say, but I really want to go to sleep. So that was kind of like one of the experiences. I fell asleep definitely with the light on at that point, because when it's at like nighttime and I already know that the area is haunted, I don't want no damn trickery, okay? I just want to sleep. And when you're sleeping, you're I mean, again, your kind of protected shield, like your vibration and everything, it just shifts a little bit. In addition to the fact that I'm high, so my sensitivity is already a little bit more open, which is why I'm getting so many messages, whether as like if I'm just in a place and I'm like, okay, I'm allowing you into my space, tell me your messages. I'm putting myself in this area so I can be present for the messages from spirit. I didn't do that. I was very much just getting the messages because I was more sensitive, because I was high. So I guess, you know, kind of pro tip, if you want to I guess possibly maybe work on your your spirit communication skills, getting high while doing so might help. But anyway, so I woke up, I go downstairs, we're having another part of the workshop, and I'm feeling pretty good. Like it wasn't like a crazy super high, but I mean I did get the munchies though, but it wasn't a crazy super high. But I did open the records, and it was still like the next day I was still, when I get high, because I don't do it, see, this is the thing, and this is kind of me venting when I say this as well, because they say this in like almost every spiritual kind of area that you go to learn Reiki, all of it. Like if you are doing those practices, you can't do drugs or drink or alcohol, whatever. For me, because I don't do it often, I don't drink alcohol often, nor do I smoke weed or eat edibles often, or any other type of, you know, drug often at all. Like I don't even smoke cigarettes. So because I don't do that, my sensitivity actually helps in connection with spirit. Like when I'm high, I get messages from spirit directly, like really, really fast, as without me having to be like, okay, I'm ready, or no, it'll just be like do 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 do. It's like that Gemini moon download is direct, and it's just open and aware. Like my Capricorn kind of gets turned off, and it's just like messages versus you know, other people where they just self-medicate with these type of things. I don't. Even when I'm drunk, I can get messages. I have before. I've done both, gotten high and gotten drunk, and done like a bunch of readings for people, and it's just like on point. And that's because I don't abuse nature's gifts in such ways. I just, you know, I use it to enhance the experience as well. And I mean, there's some times where different spirits, because especially ancestors and stuff, like if they used to drink or something, they can come in a different way where they're a little bit more comfortable. So your body has to kind of be in that space. But so we were doing a ritual for Yamaya the next day, and I was still high, because when I get high, it lasts 2 days, because my sensitivity is very sensitive, and I like to keep it that way, and I'm gonna keep it that way, because this whole getting high every day nonsense, no. It's a good practice to have self-control, and when you have self-control spirit-wise with your body, you're able to handle a lot of things. So could I do Reiki when I'm high? I could definitely do Reiki when I'm high. I could do a lot of things when I'm high that they tell you not to do, and that's because of self-control. Earth signs would have a lot of an easier grasp on this than some of the other signs, because water signs will abuse it, air signs might abuse it. There's some abuse that could be had, but earth signs could have like the easiest time doing something like this. But because I was still high and we were doing ritual work, my sensitivity was still up. And the next day, I opened the records in the morning. I was still high, opened the records. It was totally fine, but my head was completely clear. It was just like, yep, I'm here. I'm alive and present. I'm good. So I asked the mother, I asked the Lord of the Records. I know I can't ask for her past life or why she's like, you know, kind of stuck in the house or whatnot. I mean, I already knew why she was stuck in the house, because the way you get stuck in, your spirit gets stuck in on earth is because you made your spirit attached to a physical possession where your spirit cannot kind of integrate, and so your spirit is constantly just trying to hold on to this part of earth that you cannot technically really have anymore. So I asked the Lord of the Records, why is our presence in our life, like in of us, important in her spirit? What is it that we're bringing to her? What is it that we are what is it that we had to meet or have her experience these things together? And what the Lord of the Records said was that she is very curious, but there's things that we do that remind her of some of the ways that things used to be done. Again, it used to be a British colony, so there's a lot of deep-rooted trauma in that house, especially when you got Christianity beat in on you. So with her, she's like very curious, because we're all pretty much people of color in the house doing, you know, practicing, and she's very curious, but she's scared at the same time. And there's that trauma there, that fear, why like everything had to get beaten out of you, like your culture, your traditions had to get beaten out of you, and then you're getting to witness it. So there's parts of her that likes to see, which is why she'll like be present in some of the workshops. But then there's the parts of her that's kind of scared of us, and how powerful we are. So that's kind of what the Lords of the Records were saying, and I shared that with the girls, and it was just like, wow, okay, that kind of makes sense. And it didn't make sense at the end of it. I was just like, yeah, I did. That's very interesting. But this tea is very good. So that was kind of my experience at the villa. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Even when we went to the cemetery, it's funny because when I went to the cemetery, because Leslie had brought us to the cemetery, and I went to do, I went to give an offering to Oya. I didn't really feel a lot of spirits there, and I feel like it's because of the same thing. I feel like the places are haunted, but not the actual cemetery, because I didn't really feel. I felt Oya when I was there, and it's kind of funny because the cemetery is kind of right by the ocean, so I went to see Oya and I went to see Yamaya as well, so that was kind of like a beautiful experience. But I didn't feel any like lingering spirits, probably like one, but for the most part I feel like they're all holding on. That whole island is like holding on to its material possessions, because at the end of the day, that's kind of all the tangible things that you have after you've gotten, you know, your spiritual side kind of beaten out of you and like forced into something that you're still questioning in some level. I'm not saying that everybody in Grenada does this, because I feel like they do, you know, worship. There are churches everywhere. I'm just saying that's my experience in the villa and everything. So yeah, so that is the first story in my paranormal story series. We'll see what I'll call this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. There'll definitely be more to come, because I have so many stories, like so many stories. It's kind of I've had stories since I was a baby. I've been experiencing stuff since I was a baby, and that's gonna be a very personal story that I'll share sometime when I'll feel compelled to. But, and I know you're gonna be like, how you remember it? Because my mama told me, and she a Cancer, and that woman is like powerful. But Cancers, don't sleep on Cancers. They got all the damn gifts. They just won't tell you. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know. Definitely subscribe. All my links and stuff will be down below.